registration. Happy Farland Friday. We are down here in the showroom today, and I will be giving you a look around all the fun we've got down here. Get rid of our stand here, and we'll start down on this end with the blue 1971 Mercedes 280 SL. This one is in for a bit more paint and detailing work. You can see, looking through the roof here, there's all sorts of orange peel wear, kind of wearing clear coat, all sorts of reflections through there. We'll also compare it to something like a fender down here. You can see the paint down here is just much cleaner. So we'll be working on the hard top there, getting some work done on that one. Then we are also waiting on a battery for this one. Just haven't been driving this one quite enough. Gonna be charging that one back up. Then it will be ready to roll. We often highlight originality here at Farland, looking at this 280 SL. Although it is very, very clean here in the engine bay, it is not necessarily super original. For example, through here you can see all these fuel lines running through. Originally on all the 280s and W113 chassis in particular, all the fuel lines were coated in a kind of a copper goldy color, not this stainless steel as we see here. But again, that's something that, unless you know your W113 super well, it's something that would go unnoticed by many. Of course, you know, it still drives like a 280 SL, still the original engine, I believe. I've not dug in and looked too much at matching numbers and all that sort on this car in particular. Inside, we've got that lovely blue interior. You can see our little notes there of stuff to be done. And all the 280s, much like the earlier 190s, have a color-matched dash. Kind of a late 60s, 70s style that we don't see very often anymore. Definitely in the more modern stuff, the exterior and interior colors are much more separated from one another. We'll close that down and at least get a look at the lay of the land here. There we are, much better looking. The 1971 Mercedes-Benz 280 SL. Beside that one, finishing out our Denver Broncos pair, is the 1972, I believe, Alfa Romeo Montreal. We did put an Instagram video up a few days ago showing off these lovely little headlight louvers. Funny mechanism here. They use vacuum lines, so they are powered by the engine. As soon as you turn the engine over, you flip the little headlight stock, and these louvers on either side drop down when your headlights engage. Definitely go check that one out over on our Instagram. Very cool to see. Pretty common with the Montreals is some, trying to think of the best way to put it, timing differences between those louvers, right? One may drop down quickly, and I know on this particular example, this louver drops a little slower. So we believe that that vacuum line actually works these two in tandem and runs them one at a time. So you can see that recovered interior there. Again, using factory style material. This one was a car sold at Macan a few years back. So if you are a real auction sleuth, you may be able to find this one over on their website. And we'll even hop in. This is one of my favorites here in the showroom currently. Again, this is a Giugiaro design. Lots of similarities between this. Oh, let me jump in here before I can think. And the Lamborghini Miura. That was the other car I was going to mention. 59,000 miles. All sorts of Italian fun through here. Reserva, Lucci, Freno, Ailment, Vent. I know that one. That's about it here. A funny little shifter here as well. Nice little 5-speed, dog leg, all sorts of fun. And in Italian style, you can see that switch gear running sideways. Wherever it'll fit, that's where we'll put it. Very cool little interior door handles here. If you actually grab down underneath here, that is the disengage. So, little fun there. Beside that, we have the Viper Green 2017 Porsche Macan GTS. Our team has done quite a bit of searching. We cannot find another 2017 GTS in this same individual color. The Viper Green, definitely a cool look. I personally like the Porsche paint to sample stuff a little more on the SUVs than the 911s. But that's me. To each their own. We'll pop in here as well. Take a quick look, show off that lovely interior. Very low mileage on this one. You can see there, a little over 16,000 original miles. That Macan GTS switchgear. And the lovely original window sticker sitting there in the passenger seat for us. Very well optioned. You can see here all sorts of fun to play with. Sport Plus, some suspension settings, and of course, good old traction control. Gotta get into the fun there. The 2017 Viper Green Macan GTS. Available over on the site at farlandcars.com. Definitely go check that one out. Get some beauty shots and try not to get too much of that reflection. We'll head back to Montreal for 1 minute. This is one we're actually just tending the battery on. That's something we are always thinking about down here in the showroom, trying to keep everything charged up, but of course we're not necessarily putting a lot of miles on all these. So we'll head over here, hang out with the Italians for a moment. The Maserati Ghibli in red, and the Ferrari 330 GT 2+2 Series 2, I believe. Forgive me there, I may have my series incorrect. The difference is dual headlight or single headlight. I believe they originally started with the dual headlights, but later decided that the single headlight was a better looking design, and of course, it's iconic there. Classic Ferrari shape. One cool thing on this one I wanted to point out. This is one that came in for compression testing. It's actually getting ready to go up on a local auction site soon. But this owner actually came by about a week back and was showing me that his son had 3D printed all the switch gear here. You can see these knobs. These are brand new. He did some measurements on the original pieces and actually reprinted them for the entire interior here. So you can see this one we still have to change. I believe we're keeping those extras here in the glasses case. Maybe not. Hiding them from me. That's how it goes. In a lovely place to be. This blue interior is absolutely fantastic in this one. We'll get out of here and be as gentle as we can with that Italian blue. But all sorts of room in here. Our head of sales actually used to own an earlier 330 and road tripped all over the United States with his family in there. So definitely saw the mileage back in the day on these. We didn't really hang around that Maserati, so we'll run back to him for a moment here. Spin you through the shot. I always like pointing this one out just because we also have recently sent home that 1972 Ghibli Ss Convertible that was over in our showroom when we did an extensive 18-month restoration on. Definitely one to go check out. It actually ended up winning some awards for the most significant Maserati at the Concours event it went to back in 2017. So we know our way around the Maserati, that's for sure. Aside from that, we'll head back here. We've got our 1957 Porsche 356A Coupe. I believe it is badged as a 1600 Super, but again, this one was an engine swap back in the late 1970s, and it received a Porsche 912 four-cylinder engine. Very common for this era. By that point, you know, lots of the 356s had just become standard cars by that point. They were all about 20 years old. Lots of them had seen front-end collisions, that kind of work. Some restoration work, of course. But this one is very clean, very original, aside from that engine swap. And this was a great little driver for our previous owner. Again, this is a car we helped with the handoff on. Introduced the two customers, both of which are huge Porsche fanatics. And so as soon as we could make that introduction, we helped to help that new client acquire this car. And then we did do a little bit of work. We have rehung that front, just making sure it fits and everything is looking Porsche perfect. The 1957 Porsche 356A. Beside that one is our friend the Maserati Mistral. Still waiting on a few parts before we will be putting this one up for sale over on the site. I believe we're doing a little bit more suspension work. We also changed out the speedometer and a little interior work, I believe. Some seals, that kind of stuff. And again, the Mistral was the last use of Maserati's inline six-cylinder engine, which had first been introduced in the mid-1950s for Grand Prix racing. This example, possibly all Mistrals, I don't know, are twin sparks. So this one, although only being a six-cylinder, actually has 12 spark plugs working in tandem to make sure you're getting optimal compression, explosions, proper power output. That's the best way to put it. The Maserati Mistral. Beside that, we have the 2017 Mercedes-Benz S600. The big luxurious king of the road there with the bi-turbo V12. I don't know if I've hung around the driver's seat, so we'll hop in there. Show off this fantastic leather all throughout. Nice comfy seats with little pillows on the headrests, especially in those back seats. That nice blue ambient lighting as you get in. There's the mileage there, 19,000 original miles. Getting that big long screen that runs all the way across. There are a few options in here. It looks like some curtains, some seat adjustments, and maybe a dimmer down there. And then of course the Mercedes-Benz clock there. We'll kind of show you around all the goodies here. There's nice cup holders up front. CD changer, possibly. I don't know this one all that well, inside and out. There is the ashtray. Everything real tucked away in here. Those Germans are very thoughtful, that's for sure. Thinking of everything. We did hear that other examples of this S600 did come with refrigeration systems, that kind of stuff. This one does not, but it is right there under the Pullman model. Let's see, we'll flip us around here if we can. I never do the camera flip. You're gonna get to see a little bit of Pat, but we will also show off those double sunroofs. Here's one right up above me for the driver, and then back there you have another set for the rear passengers. And of course, all your lighting, make sure you're looking good before you get out of the S600. And I've seen enough of me, so we're getting back to the camera. We'll hop out there. Thanks for having us, Mr. Mercedes. That classic German door close. And then here we have our friend the Hudson. We did write a blog on this one recently. Very extensive restoration here in our shop. We believe it is absolutely one of the premier Hudson Hornets in the world at this point, considering the amount of work, time, and effort spent to bring this one back to original. And back in the 1950s, of course, Americans were consistently changing designs on their cars, often as a way to involve the community and, you know, make sure every American knew what each new car looked like, how things were changing. It was kind of an event when the brands announced their new designs. So, getting back to the Hudson here specifically, this Hudson is a 1952 example, but actually utilizes a hood from a 1951. So we have done some modification on this front end, I believe through the cowl here, to add this, you know, that subtle line all the way throughout. That was one our Metal Master John really dug in on and was able to make this look absolutely amazing here on the Hudson. The 1952 Hudson Hornet. Pop that door. Look around inside. A fun one before we did the full extensive restoration on this one, we actually put in 7 seat belts for the big family that all has enjoyed this car for many years. So, fun little Farland touch there. One of my favorites about this car is the fonts all the way throughout, especially on that switchgear. That those numbers are very 1950. Look at that 8, especially, or the 11. All sorts of fun there. I'll also give you a quick glimpse at the Hudson radio and some of our switchgear, and then we'll also take a gander at that lovely headliner. All sorts of material running all the way back there. And then back here, we've got actually the original rear window. You can see we've still got a few little bumper stickers from back when the family was driving it. The gentleman I have met from the family actually attended Loyola School of Dentistry. So fun to see that staying around with the car. Definitely part of the family. The 1952 Hudson Hornet. Aside from that one is our 2008 Ferrari 360 Spider, which just finished up with a pretty extensive front bumper restoration. When this car first came to us, we'll swing around here. Through here, this bumper had been through an impact, right? Through here there was all sorts of cracking, and the bumper had actually split along this line, at which point it was actually covered up with red duct tape. So being that it's so low on the car, you know, unless you were looking for it, it would be something that not many would notice, but having duct tape on your Ferrari, I mean, come on. So, this one came in, we actually pulled that front bumper and noticed that many of the plastic clips underneath on the rear side had been scraped up, and many of them had actually ripped off. So we went back in and replaced those tabs, remelted some plastic to ensure that the fitment is exactly as was left the factory, at which point the entire front bumper did see a respray. Our awesome technician Jeremy doing a great job of matching that color there. And then our team rehung the bumper, and now we are just waiting for pickup on this one. The 2003 Ferrari 360 Spider. All right, and last but not least, the king of the hill, the 1991 Chevy Corvette Zr1. At the time, this was the most powerful Corvette ever built, as well as the fastest, I believe. I may be incorrect there, but came on those iconic salad shooter wheels, as they're referred to now. One thing I really like about this car is the front hood. Opens inward, very similar to my car, but this hood is extremely heavy. Do my best to lift it up and show you what's underneath there. Of course, I think a big part of that is these two headlights, right? It's got those iconic flip-up headlights that do a real dance as they're coming out. And then you have this 4-cam 32-valve engine, originally built by Lotus and designed by Lotus. I can't particularly remember why Lotus was contracted to develop the engine on this particular Corvette, but it ended up being a real technological marvel for the time. And even today, people still look at the ZR1 as an icon of the era. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. So you got this funny little clip there, and now it's gonna start falling on me. Do my best to catch it and not let it drop too hard, or pinch my fingers in the process. There we go. The fingers live to see another day. And then we'll open that door, and another wild one on this Corvette. You can see that that big step down as you get in. Really makes you feel like you're sitting 3 feet under. And then being 91, you've got all sorts of early digital options there. All sorts of switches, and then one hiding behind that shifter there is actually your power mode. So many brag about the modern Hellcats doing that type of stuff with a 2-key system which unlocks all the power. But back in 1991, Chevy had already done it with the Corvette here. So they did offer 2 keys. I believe the second key would come in the glove box. You would use the first key, and then that second key actually turned you up to maximum power. So this is one we'll be holding on to for a little bit, doing some cleanup, hopefully getting some cool video showing this one off, and hopefully taking it to a few shows. But aside from that, I think that is going to do it for us today here at Farland. The last few weeks I've had a fun little last minute run, so I'm going to see how fast I can name them all. I'm going to do some thinking here, and we're ready to go. 1971 Mercedes-Benz 280 SL. 1972 Alfa Romeo Montreal. 2017 Porsche Macan GTS. 1970 Maserati Ghibli. I knew I'd get stung up here. I want to say between 68 and 73 Ferrari 330 GT 2+2. I'm sorry, this is the 365 GT 2+2. I'm really off today. The Porsche 356 A, the Maserati Mistral, the 2017 Mercedes-Benz S600, the 1952 Hudson Hornet, the 2003 Ferrari 360 Spider, and last but not least, our friend the king of the hill, the 1991 Corvette Zr1. But that is going to do it for us today here at Farland. I've been Pat. Of course, go check out our YouTube channel for more fun around the shop and showroom. Go check out our blog if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the assembly, documentation, and metal processes we do up in the shop. And definitely go check us out on Instagram to keep up with all the fun moving through the shop and showroom. That's going to do it for us today. I've been Pat. This is Farland. That's an Alfa Romeo Montreal. And we'll see you next week.